Hello and welcome to the ORCA Pod, the Apex Predators of Australian Survivor LRG podcasting. I am CK and we are here. One well may have finished, but our coverage has not. We are in the post-season coverage segment of Backyard Survivor One Well. We have a lot of fantastic content covering the season. We have an interview tonight with the winner of One Well. Really excited to get into her game and how she pulled off such a magnificent performance. We'll also have the fallen angel of the season. I think no one would deny Jacob. Rooted out twice, but still deep in our hearts, well, mine anyway, because it was my best chance of winning the draft. So he was always very dear to me. But we'll be talking with Jacob as well. Next week, we will have Zoe and Jess and Megan talking about their games. Then the show everyone wants to see, the Tea Party, and in a couple of weeks after that, we'll finish out our coverage with our interview with production. And, of course, the most important thing we could possibly do in the entire coverage, the crowning of the ORCA. I will be assembling the Congress of the ORCAs shortly to make that determination. Mark thinks he's got it in the bag. We'll have to wait and see because it is a democracy, not a dictatorship. So with all that said, we're keen to get into the show. Let me bring in my regular co-hosts. Firstly, Dani, welcome.
Hi, I'm so excited to do real live interviews for the first time this season, especially starting with Miss Haley.
You weren't allowed before, now
you're allowed. We weren't allowed. I don't like these rules. I understand them. I don't like them.
Yes, well, you could have been spoiled like I was. Everyone could have been spoiled. Just so people know, Kyle requested that I do the interviews beforehand because he was worried some of the cast may spoil me. I was spoiled. I was spoiled on Mark's boot, unfortunately, a number of weeks out by a particular cast member who I will not name. But it wasn't deliberate. They just made an error, and it's good they made the error in a recorded interview with me and not on a live that would have ruined it for everyone. So that's fine. But live interviews now, and welcome in our other guest, our host Jules. Welcome.
You just refer to me as a guest.
Yeah, I'm just rambling tonight.
You guys just have your own little conversation. I'm just here vibing with my winner pick, who was the winner. Called it.
Well done.
Yeah, I'm going to hop on that.
Sure. We're never going to get sick of that. Now, you know something that dawned on me while organising this? I wasn't certain, but I knew that Haley had been staying up quite late just from some comments she made in the comments while we're doing our coverage. And something I think she might have said at one point had me thinking that maybe she lives in New Zealand, but I wasn't sure. But now she's confirmed that. That's why we started a little bit earlier tonight to make it easier on her. This is 2 Kiwi winners in Australian LRGs back to back.
Hey, the Kiwis. We love it. It's our friends across the ditch.
Canberra. And now Haley has won Backyard. Big way to go. So, if you don't take home the W, it's probably a waste of time now if you're coming from over there. But congratulations to our Kiwi friends with the success. And now, without further ado, I'm going to bring in the winner of Backyard Survivor. I'm going to remember myself here. Backyard Survivor, One Well. Hopefully she's wearing that coveted buff. We'll have to see. Let's all welcome Haley.
Kia ora, everybody.
The most important question we have for you, Haley, is before they pulled that cup out of the bag at Final Tribal Council, did you even know it existed?
The buff?
Yes. Did you know there was a winner's buff?
Yeah, they said that at the start of the game, the buff and $1,000. Yeah.
Maybe I missed that. Was that in the coverage?
I think it was at the very episode 1, I think.
Okay. That's on me. It looks amazing. Well done. Congratulations on your victory. So well deserved.
Yeah, it was definitely a huge experience, and because I've only done online orgs, I really thought I'd give the LRG a go, and yeah, it was nothing that I thought would it was so professional, like we were mic'd up and you had a million cameras everywhere, so you it was an amazing experience again.
How many orgs had you played before you took the opportunity to play this game?
So I'd played, oh my gosh, I should have thought about this, but I played Outcast twice. So
Okay.
I played, I think, season 1 and then season 3, I think the returnee season. And I'd also played, oh man, I don't know why I can't remember this bloody name, but it's been a while, 2020.
It's all
Anyway,
right.
I played with Kath in them, yeah.
Was there? Oh, you played with Kat. You knew Kat.
Yeah, I knew Kat
Ooh.
and
Was that-
Casper and Sal. I knew all of them because I'd played with them. Oh, Online Survivor, OSM. I'd played OSM.
Were you thinking of wanting to work with Kath based on this relationship, or was this something that you were wary about?
No, I really wanted to work with Kath. I've known her for years, so since 2020. And yeah, it was just unfortunate that we're on flipping, different tribes.
I want to get into one big question that I don't know if you'll be able to answer, because I'm not sure anyone knows the answer. But you played such a fantastic game, and the thing that was so fantastic about it that we identified on this program is everyone completely underestimated you pretty much all the time until right around when they got voted out, and then it sort of dawned on them that you were actually playing a great game, and that therefore you actually were not a threat until you voted them out, and then became a threat, which was great for your jury position. Was this a deliberate strategy, or were you surprised people were underestimating you? How did you find that experience?
I don't know if underestimated is the right word. I was basically everyone's auntie. Like, I was friends with everybody, and I had allies in the right places. That was the key thing for me. Was I had the biggest thing that we wanted before in pre-merge was to go on with the numbers, so we could kind of control the votes going forward, and it secured it secured Orange going all the way down to final 6. So yeah, that basically was it. But having those extra connections like with Takan and Zoe and things like that, but I didn't really have to. I was quite fortunate. It was actually, it's hard to explain, but I felt like the Survivor gods were smiling on me that whole game, because it felt like everything just worked. I don't know how to explain it.
The luck went in your. You're saying the sort of the luck went in
Yeah,
your.
the luck.
Yeah.
Like, actually, I kind of I'll be honest. There were a few things that I manipulated, like, when we had to choose the lanyard. I saw Mark. I had to stick by Mark the entire time to keep an eye on him. And when he pulled his green lanyard out, I noticed it was in a bunch. So I grabbed quickly after him to make sure I grabbed the same green lanyard. So it was about keeping with my core alliance. And unfortunately, in those sort of instances, we had like Jacob go to the pink tribe and Altus go to the. Oh, I can't remember now, but yeah.
Yeah,
so
you're right. Production did not shuffle those. They did not shuffle those buffs. They did turn out that way, but you perhaps one of the few people that spotted that, because you were very always watching everything, paying close attention to everything.
Yeah. Had to. It was such a fast-paced game, and like including confessionals, like it's so quick. Like, and half the time, every time I went into a confessional, I didn't know what to say. I was just making shit up.
You just what comes
what
out.
do I do?
Yeah, whatever you like comes to your mind, you're just like,
Yeah, they'll go, "What was your strategy?" And I'll be like, "I don't know." I just thought that person needed to go and wrote his name down. But yeah.
I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit. Your confessionals, I felt, were filled with lots of great insights of what you were doing and how you were doing it and why you were doing it. So
he had a lot of one-liners that I appreciated.
Yeah,
I felt there was nothing about your game that I felt was I understood why you won. I thought you were a massive threat to win pretty much the whole game, based on what you were delivering to us on screen with the other contestants, but also in the confessionals. You knew your game and what you were doing. I think you're the sort of person that maybe likes to, sell yourself down, doesn't like to pop yourself up, but you won and you deserve to win because you were a strong player.
I definitely knew I had to keep my threat level low, and I was very fortunate to have a massive shield like Mark, who just scared the shit out of everyone. So I was just like, yo, he's got all the heat. And yeah.
Big Daddy Mark.
That was Big Daddy Mark.
I think what you also did well was, and maybe this is you as a person, or maybe this is something you're applying in the game. I think in these things, you're better off listening than talking. And a lot of people struggle with that because, a lot of people have to talk. I would struggle with that. I love talking. But I think you're always better off hanging back, listening, processing, and then saying something that's worth listening to. And I think you did that a lot. Is that just you in everyday life, or is that something you glad to do in the game?
I think people tend to forget that they actually need to listen and not try and, hijack the conversation. And I just listened. And a lot of the times what people talked about and names that they would pull out, I was already aligned. So it's kind of like, it was kind of like a protective thing as well. Like just letting them have their say, oh, yeah, I reckon, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there going, yeah. But the whole time I'm thinking, yeah, you guys pull the trigger. I'm happy to go with it. So yeah. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I'm waiting for the girls to say something. You go.
No, I completely agree with you. And then, so you're a Pisces, right?
Yeah, I'm a Pisces.
Yeah,
and
that's a very typical one. And just because I have to talk about astrology, that's a very typical water sign thing to do, is to sit back, have a look. What's everybody doing?
What are you talking about? I'm a Pisces. What is the logic?
Yeah, you have other things.
I need to see your chart.
Yeah, his chart's really interesting. When he was last in Sydney, we ran through it. It's a very interesting chart. Anywho,
I'm a bit of a psychic sponge, so I can feel when things are sort of changing, like emotionally, or where something's gonna, like, there's something different. There's a different plan over here. So it was kind of just watching and waiting, but fully knowing that I had a good plan going forward. Like we already had strong votes on a certain person. If they made a move, it didn't matter. So yeah, but it was, when I watch it back, I'm like, shit, did I really have that much control? Because these guys, if they had done like certain moves, I reckon it would have completely changed the game.
Is there any world in which you worked with Tara?
Oh man, do you guys know Tara? Like she is just and I know it sounds stupid. Like, okay, I've said this multiple times, and I knew her outside the game, but I was the only one that didn't tell her I knew her. I just kept that straight. Like, I did not tell her until the final tribal council that I knew her. And as soon as I saw her when we were seconded, I was just like, sequestered. I was like, holy shit! Like, fuck, she's like, and I don't know if anyone else knew. So she was already like a high target we could kind of like use to direct everyone's attention to, keeping the head off us, essentially. So yeah, I wish I could, like, looking back, she's so good, but man, she would still give me the heebie-jeebies if I played with her again, because you just can't fully trust her, she's so good.
She's so good. Absolutely. Yeah. It's kind of one of those things, like, I want to work with you or you've got to go. Like, I don't think there's any in between with a player like Tara.
If you took her to the end, she would just talk you out of your votes easily.
Yeah, for sure.
Easily. Like, yeah. She's awesome, man. And she's so articulate, and she knows the game, and she knows how to survive a talk. And some of it, well, especially me, I was bumbling around in confessionals, but she was so good, man. No wonder she's the darling of the season.
Okay, let's just back to what CK said. In your confessionals, you were not bumbling in the slightest. Like, you were articulate. We understood your game. Like, even if we couldn't see what was happening in a group chat, we would come away from that and you would explain everything so well. We saw your game the whole way through. So stop it. You were so articulate in your confessionals. Right. Even if you didn't think you knew what you were talking about, you smashed it.
Thanks, guys. It was quite unnerving, just going, okay, what did you do?
Oh, it's crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and to try to think, because your mind is running like non-stop the whole time, and then trying to put that into words with people asking you questions. And then they're also, you know, production do also prompt you, try to get you to think of other things in different scenarios, and then it makes it worse. So you did really well.
Oh, thank you. A lot of it was strategy. I keep talking about this in confessionals, like strategy. Even sitting where you sat in the tribal councils was a strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
For example,
if they're letting you sit where you want, you choose the best spot.
Yeah, and it was actually a good way to isolate a certain person away from their alliances. That was another thing for me to learn. But yeah, everything's to do with strategy.
And that's Survivor. Like, if you're not paying attention to all the opportunities you have for strategy, then that's crazy. Yeah. Like, even like where you sleep at night, who you sleep next to, like all those things, it matters.
I think they all slept in tents away from each other, and they weren't allowed to interact.
Oh, okay.
It was like that. But because we weren't mic'd up, we did have some sneaky little conversations.
You did?
But yeah.
Of course you did.
Wow, you just go up.
You have to.
But, yeah.
Why don't you tell us about going into Final Tribal Council? Did you think that you were going to win? Did you think there were people you needed to convince? How was your read before the Tribal Council started in terms of your likelihood of success?
So my entire Final Tribal Council sort of plan was to eliminate the players that had the most likable characters on the jury. Mm-hmm. So that was like the likes of Jacob, Jess, Zoe, all the way down. And I love Megan. I love her to bits. Like, we went through the entire journey together, but I was so confident I could beat her that was just a simple choice. Like, it was a simple option for me. And I felt like we manipulated and I love Zoe as well. Like, I felt like, because we went hard on Zoe to vote her number one ally off. That was huge. That was such a huge move. I actually thought we were going to go to fire or whatever, because I was absolutely certain that Megan and Jess were going to write my name down. Like, I was absolutely certain. I really had to pull on my strings with Megan to not write my name down. I was happy to go to fire, but yeah, it was that tribal council that sort of sealed Jess's fate, unfortunately. Couldn't believe I pulled that out my head.
You talked a lot about that. The Jess story, the Zoe story, their underdog story. It can't be beat. We've got to stick together. Is that something, did you think that if worst came to worst, you would have stood a chance against a Jess or a Zoe, or did you believe straightforward that you probably would lose to them as well?
It would have been, I didn't want to risk it. Let's just say that. By the time we got to Final Four, I just wanted to win, and I knew how to get there. It was winning those challenges to make sure I was immune, and then it was definitely. I probably would have lost to someone like Zoe, because she was actually the darling of all of us post merge. She really was. So yeah, and I hated it. I already knew what my plan was before winning that last challenge. I already knew, and I hated that. Yeah.
Have you played that out in the group chat? Have you played out what that would have looked like if it was you or Zoe or you or Jess?
I think there's so many what ifs. Like, we have all discussed the what ifs, man, and
they run rampant in your mind.
Yeah, and we can't. Yeah, it's hard to say. Like, I can say, in my own opinion, I probably would have lost to Zoe if I'd taken her to the Final Tribal Council, 100%.
Yeah, right.
Well, then you made the right call.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, yeah.
I mean, that's
okay.
No, I was just saying, because like I know with like my Sydney group chat, we like, especially once the season came out and you got to see everybody else's confessionals and what their thought process was and those sorts of things. We literally like every possible scenario we drilled down into what would have happened in that. Like, if this person had won immunity, this is what we would have done in that scenario. Like, every possible chance. I was just curious if that had happened with your guys.
You know, Mark is a classic example of that. Like, he had so many options, that could have changed the entire game.
Yeah.
And he's been vocal about that since the game had ended that night. So
Not Mark. There's no way Mark is vocal. What are you talking about?
He's an ORCA, man. He's 100% an ORCA.
He hasn't won yet. Isn't one yet?
Nah, he has ORCA energy.
He could be the ORCA. Right, he is. And I remember just having like a 30-minute conversation about if I'd have done this, if I'd have done that. And he's not wrong. Like the game would have been completely different.
Yeah.
Did you we talked about your Final Tribal Council last week and how you did a great job of continuing what you did in the game. Less is more, listening and then making strong statements, clear about what you achieved. And you often would one-up Megan in what she said, particularly around the Jacob vote and getting your permission. We wanted to take a lot of restraint to not necessarily one-up her, but to also put out your weight loss and health journey when she talked about her own. Did you know that you had shared similar stories in that regard when she mentioned that?
No, not until after the game. I looked at her and I was like, what the hell? Like, it was so funny afterwards when she came out with that. But there was a strategy in that Final Tribal Council. So I was in a debating team when I was 13, when I was in year 10. So I knew that I needed her to go first. I needed Megan to go first so I could build an argument against her speech. And that was all I needed to do to kind of, I know I felt so shit. I felt so ratchet when I had, because I was fighting for, because her Final Tribal speech was epic. Like it was gold.
Yeah.
Like I was sitting there going, I'm going to vote for her. Like I said that actually to start my speech. I was like, shit, I'm going to vote for you. But then I had to change it. I had to flip it. And you don't see this, but I basically told everyone in the jury how they were voted out. I just had to do something different to finding idols and advantages and grabbing people and having this great social game. And it felt, and you guys didn't see this, but I could see the look on the jury's faces. They were not happy. And it came across like I was quite arrogant. And I was like, oh, I realized I might have done the wrong thing. Yeah, so, yeah.
But obviously hadn't, because 6, all of them but 1 voted for you. So you obviously did the right thing. They liked what you said.
Oh, yeah, it was a bit vicious. And that's not my personality either. Like I'm a Pisces, like I'm quite a softie. But I knew I had to pull some I had to pull something heavy out just to beat Megan. Because she was.
But we didn't see it. We didn't see this part. Is that what you're saying? It wasn't in the show.
I think. Well, I felt like I was a bit mean, and I'm not a mean person.
I don't think anything I saw in the Final Tribal was mean. But are you saying there was something that we did wasn't aired that was perhaps a bit more mean?
Oh,
so I think you were confident.
I think you just owned your game and you feel like that was mean. And that's what you need to do in a Final Tribal. You have to own your game. Otherwise, you don't get the votes. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing to do. But in that moment, you're like, I deserve this. Give me the win.
Yeah. And I just went hard. Yeah.
Your strategy was absolutely right. And I like what you're saying, that you came in thinking that you were going to win. You felt confident against Megan.
Yeah.
Megan starts out with a really strong speech. That worries you a bit. And so then you make sure that you use your debating skills to basically pick apart any arguments that she made. And you didn't just do it right then. You did it progressively on various questions. You used sort of each question to perhaps disarm something or rebut something that Megan had said throughout her Tribal Council. So what I actually felt like is Megan started out, like you come in at the top, and then Megan's really up here from giving a great speech. And then like as the Tribal Council went on, you sort of continued up. Like everything you said was better than the last thing you said, and it just kept building upon itself to basically being, in my opinion, not really a question. If I was there based on the facts that I was given, I would have been voting for you too, based on what I saw.
I just saw Nels. Oh yeah. You know what? When Tara said I played a bloody, what's that guy's name? Rob.
Boston Rob.
Rob straight up, I didn't know who the hell she was talking about. I was sitting there going, what? Who? Like, who am I? Who's Boston Rob? And I said that once she finished that question, I was like, who? And made everyone laugh, but everyone looked at me like I was a weirdo. And I pretended like, no, I know who it is, but really I didn't because everyone thought I was a weirdo.
Yeah. Well, tell us about that. Who's playing Orgs who doesn't know who Boston Rob is?
Yeah.
You know, like.
Well, can I just say, I love Survivor. I'll admit that I've only watched US season 2 when old mate went into the Australian Outback. And then I just got back into the Australian Survivor when it started up from season 2. So
Yeah, okay.
I felt way out of my comfort zone with all these like super fans in the LRG. And I just had to pretend like, oh yeah, I know.
Do you know who he is now?
Yeah, I know who he is now. I had to Google him afterwards. I was like,
You've become a super fan since. Now, one move we talked about of yours in quite some detail. We went back and forth about, what was the strategy here, what was the move, what was the intent, and that was the split tribal, where you told Kate, I'm going to get this wrong, Kate, that she was safe, she's all good, and then you told Mark that we're going to be voting for Jess, and then you used the extra vote, and you 2 votes on Kate, and you basically leave everyone out in the dark and you make the decision, including right before you do that to Kate, you tell her you're with her, it's all good. What was the plan on that particular vote?
Man, I really wanted to work with Kate. I really did, because I could see that she was like amiable, like she was malleable. Like we could probably work with her more so than Jess, or like, But then when you looked at the numbers and you looked at the pink, because those pinkies, they were really tight and they kept pulling in the greenies. And so for us to sort of still be dominant, I know people think that's boring gameplay, but we all want to win. So I just saw the numbers. I go, you know what? The more we take out the pink tribe, that's how I just saw it in the end. I was like, no, we can't risk taking Kate. I would have easily voted for Jess, like how we wanted to in that tribal council. But then I looked at my alliance with Megan, and I knew how close she was with Jess. I didn't want to burn that relationship with Megs as well. So it's kind of like it's like chess. You got to look at a couple of moves ahead. And I kept saying this. I know I sound like a crazy. I just keep repeating myself about people. We need to look at a move, like moves ahead in the game. And that's basically all it was eliminating that pink threat. And then that just left us with Tarkan. Poor Tarkan.
Why'd you lie to Mark though on that vote? Why did you tell Mark you were doing something different to what you were doing?
I don't know if I lied to him. I thought we were both aware that I was going to vote for Kate, but I don't know. I can't remember anymore.
So he was voting for Jess, and he knew you were voting for Kate. Maybe.
I thought he did, but now that I watched it back in his interview, I was like, oh, maybe he didn't. I don't know.
And why did you tell Kate, like literally 2 minutes before you were about to write her name down twice, that you were with her? Let's go, you and me. Like, that's not a great way to send a jury to the jury.
Because I still needed her to be on my side, and if she doesn't know, she's going to be none the wiser until the next person goes there, and then it might. And then the next person was Mark, so of course he's gonna like hopefully talk me up in the jury. So it was kind of like you're pulling the trigger, but you don't want them to see it. You know what I mean?
You were hoping she would not think that you voted for her. She was hoping that maybe.
Yeah. That I was on her side.
Maybe Mark did the 2K votes. Yeah.
It's like a silent assassin as well.
Whereas Mark would have got there, as you said, and just told them everything that happened. So
he did. He bloody did. That's why I was like, oh. Yeah.
But I think having someone like that on the jury is beneficial. You want someone who's going to get there and talk about how great your game was and the parts they didn't see. You need an advocate because there's a lot of
Advocates,
people.
yeah.
There's a lot of them just sitting around talking about who should win, and if no one's advocating for you, then that's you know they're already walking into tribal with a sort of a thought in their head that you're not the winner. So I think I'm not saying you owe anything to Mark, but I think there's parts of your success that Mark was a factor in, obviously in and out of the game.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why I was very mindful of not burning those bridges, because I was thinking of the jury essentially the whole time post merge. And when Tara asked me, didn't you burn that bridge with me? I went, yeah, but I didn't have a bridge in the first place. You know what I mean? Like I never had a bridge with Tara to burn. So yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought when she asked that question. I was like, well, it's not like you guys really had a working relationship anyway.
Yeah.
You were kind of gunning for each other.
That's why I was like, yeah, I did. Because I didn't have a bridge.
There's no bridge. We never built the bridge. I can't burn it.
Yeah, but
you lit the materials. Any materials that were there for building bridges, you would lit them up from the minute you stepped on.
Yeah. That Jacob vote, if I'd have voted any other way but Jess, it would have nullified that idol. That's why I had to vote the way I voted for Jess without burning Jacob. Because if I'd have voted Zoe, like it would have just been Jacob and Zoe. Like it just would have been messy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is an interesting question from Megan. Is it time to stop jury discussions?
She's annoyed at us. She doesn't want us talking about the jury anymore and her loss.
I know when I've been a part of production and stuff with jury management, the jury can talk to each other. That's okay, but you can only talk about stuff that's happened or completely within your game.
Yeah.
You can't talk about the people who are still in the game, what their thought process is, all those until they come out. So I don't. Was that the same sort of rules for you guys? I mean, not that you were on the jury, but was that the similar sort of thing?
You'll have to ask on the jury. I'm pretty sure that
Eddie doesn't know it.
We'll ask Jacob that.
Yeah, that's all. Not that you know, but I'm just curious. We can ask Jacob.
What are you saying you can't talk about? No, jury, you can talk about
I think. Yeah, you can.
Say Jules is still in the game and you're still in the game, CK, and I was your alliance. I can talk about my decisions with you guys, but I can't talk about the way that you're thinking, what's happened with, or the way Jules is thinking. Like until you come out, that's your game to tell. I can only talk about my own.
Tell everyone what I think they're thinking.
Yeah, if I went to Ponderosa, I would be telling all the tea, or if I really wanted someone to win, I would be probably projecting a lot of the crap on everyone else and keeping my mate.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. A lot of people, that are big players, once they're out of the game, they want to influence the outcome because
absolutely.
They are. If I can't win, I want my bestie to win.
Yeah, that's right. And oh man, that Jacob vote, I was like, fuck, I'm not pulling the trigger on that bloody move, but I'm happy to go along so it doesn't burn my bridge with Jacob.
You were masterful with that because it worked so well and it worked in your favorite final tribal. But it's particularly the sort of thing that can backfire because you revealed the truth at final tribal and you told Jacob, yeah, I knew it was happening and I just let it happen. He can then, he hasn't been stewing on it since he got voted out, so I guess that's the benefit. But there's a risk that he gets annoyed about it when you tell him at final tribal council. I think that's a real risk of all your final tribal council answers. They potentially could have annoyed people as you gave them, but you just stood behind them. And
I just took ownership of it. And with Jacob, I knew we were super close, as you could tell by the edit, but in the edit as well, I was actually super close to Megan. Jacob, and especially Mark. And we didn't get too much loving, Mark and I, and Megan and I, till about episode 6 or 7. So it was kind of like, they don't see how strong we were together. It just showed Jacob and I. So I wasn't too worried about Jacob, and he knew Megan was the instigator of that move. And then it wasn't until I popped up in Final Tribal Council. Well, the girls probably would have told him anyway when they went to the jury what had happened. So it was about being, I guess, sympathetic, but at the same time going, bro, I really couldn't. Yeah, my hands are tied, but yeah. Does that make
Early
sense?
on,
Like I had to be
yeah.
sympathetic at the same time, like be an auntie again, essentially again.
Early on in the game, you were aligned with Mark and you were aligned with Jacob. And then as the boondoggers, as you called yourselves, were sitting around doing nothing, you and Jacob start thinking about maybe you should like bring Altus in and get rid of Mark. Was that just idle minds playing? Do you think that that's something you might have been looking to do, or were you always locked in with Mark and you were just sort of entertaining Jacob about those sort of discussions?
Oh man, I as much as Mark was my shield, I was protecting him too. So I was entertaining that thought, but at the same time, I couldn't take it too far because that would have essentially, I would have become the next target if Mark wasn't there. So I tried to just protect him as much as I could. And there are so many moments where it's just Megan, myself, and Jacob having chats, and they were gunning for him from post merge, like from the start, from coach's vote. And I was just like, no, like trying to switch, trying to spin it like we need the numbers, we need the numbers, we need Mark's advantages. We need them. So he just scared everyone into bloody submission on Mark. He was so good.
So when the
right.
time came to vote him out, what led to that decision for you?
I couldn't. That was probably the one vote I had no control of. Every other vote, I felt like I was in control and I could sort of and understand and knew where the vote was going. I knew where that vote was going, but I couldn't sway my two mates. Otherwise, if I had voted any other way but Mark, it would have been me next, 100%. And it was about preservation.
Yeah, at that point you had to give. There was nothing else to do.
There was nothing I could do. It was they all wanted Mark, and if it wasn't him, it was going to be me.
Did you feel bad in that tribal council where Mark was leaning over and whispering to you and saying, "We can do this and we can do this move. If you get Megan to do this, and like you've got to do it because she won't listen to me, but you lean into Megan and you get her to do this, and it's like, and you're like, mate, it's done. Like you're like nodding. You're like, you're done.
You look at if you like Jules, she would have watched it a couple of times each episode. If you look at my body language, you will know that I'm not fully in. And oh man, and I had to be like an actress and go, yeah. But the whole time I'm like, fuck. So even my husband, when he doesn't really watch Survivor, which is a bit annoying, but when he watches me and he sees my body language on screen, he's like, "You're so full of it, hun. You're saying yeah, but you're like, nah." Yeah. It was so hard. That was really hard. Yeah.
Had you told your family that you won? Did they watch this season at least? I
only told certain family members because they are like the non-Survivor people in the world. Like they don't watch any Survivor. They don't get why I even played the game. Like they lecture me like, what the hell? Like they're not Survivor people. And I told them what had happened during the game, and I was quite animated nearly 2 years ago. But I remained super tight-lipped to everyone else. Yeah, it was pretty cool to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, how excited was your family then to see you win? Your family and friends.
Oh yeah, they were really happy but not surprised because I think Jules would understand being a controller, like a train controller, you have to be in so much control. Like you have to multitask. You have to I was in that game. I had to watch every single person and their interactions, and it was they're not surprised at all. My family.
I won't lie, the train controller thing was one of the reasons I picked you for the winner. I'm like, I know what goes into that. I couldn't do it. I just drive the train. But you've got to be spinning a million different plates. So I knew if you can do that, you can do Survivor.
Yeah, I loved it in that sense that I got to sort of be in the driver's seat without being a huge threat, so to
You were
speak.
backseat driving, I think, a little bit.
Yeah,
Puppet
I
Master.
like that. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
She doesn't like it, but she'll take it.
I try to be. I'm a humble person, like naturally. So it's kind of like I hate. Yeah.
We can tell you're humble. You're not talking yourself up, but and you can tell in the game as well. But what I think you did really well in the game is you overcame that humility when you needed to, which isn't easy to do if you are a humble person. And I think you did that very effectively. Knowing when to put yourself up there in the lights when it needed to be. But I can tell now that you don't like talking about how good you were, even though you were very good.
Oh, yeah. That's a Pisces trait, I think.
Again, I'm a Pisces.
I don't know.
Thing.
Wait,
Yeah,
which,
no.
whereabouts are you on the Pisces chart there, CK? Because there are different types of Pisceans.
Ask Dani. I don't know.
Are you March? Are you March?
Yeah, March.
Oh, there you go. You're the arsehole.
He's closer to an Aries in the chart.
Yeah, that's
I was
right.
going to say, you've got a lot more Aries in you than Pisces.
No.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm like the 6th of March. That's like in the middle.
Mm.
I'm not cusp. I'm in the middle.
Yeah. No, I didn't say you're a cusp. I just say, yeah. You have, what is your big three, Hayley? You're a Pisces and what else?
What's that? Sorry?
Your big three.
My big three? What do you mean?
Yeah, so you do you know your rising and your moon as well, or no?
No, not really.
Danny, you have to do your chart sometime.
Yeah.
Danny, do my chart, please. I know I'm a Pisces. I know my Chinese horoscope's a pig, which is, again, a fortunate sign.
Yeah.
Mm.
We'll make that a future ORCA show, Danny. You can just do people's charts live.
Yeah, just run people's charts.
My God, she would love that.
I would have so much fun doing that. Yeah, send me your place and your time of birth and your date, and I'll work it up for you.
I can totally tell you now, but my husband is Gemini. Would you believe it? Really? And him and I are twin flames. It's crazy. But yeah, he's a Gemini. Mm.
Do you guys have any final questions for Hayley that is not related to astrology?
I wanted to ask about the challenges because you were very, very physical in a lot of these challenges. Did you know coming in that you were going to be somewhat of a challenge beast?
Yeah, I pride myself in being a athletic person, so I was so keen. That was the whole reason why I wanted to do the LRG. It's because I watched Survivor. I'm not like a super Survivor fan, and I've always loved the physical challenges because I'm like, I can do that. I can do all these challenges, and so to have that opportunity in Backyard Survivor was like massive. So I knew, and I'm quite tribe strong. Like I'm a loyal team, and I'm a team player in general. Like I play netball, rugby, whatever. So it was beneficial to, that I wanted to be an asset to my tribe. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, I knew I was going to do all right in the physical challenges.
And what incredible challenges you were given! Like that was standout this year.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Seriously,
I love you catching all the beanbags from the slingshot. That was awesome.
Yeah.
When we discussed that challenge, I was like, "Oi, I play netball and rugby. I'll just catch." And yes, I was just like, "Nah, I got it." And they were like, "Yeah, okay, cool."
And you smashed it. Well done.
Yeah, it was so good. Loved it.
I mean, and the most important question that we always end with: did you have fun?
Of course she did. She won.
Oh. Absolutely.
I was winning.
I have to represent Max here. Someone's got to ask Max this question from every season. Did you have fun?
Yeah, definitely had fun. And you know what? The cast, we're all super, super close. And CK, when you had your people's, what is it? The people's choice.
Champion.
We just knew we were going to Perth for a drink up because I was just like, oh, this guy.
People's champion, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the people's champion.
Fantastic.
Right.
Almost great outcome.
I know, it was this close.
Are you going to fly to Perth for that? That'd be a big commitment. I can't know.
I'm actually seriously thinking about that. But before I leave, I just wanted to let you know that I've been selected to attend an international LRG, which is they get all the winners from all the LRGs around the world.
Winners at war.
We better, yeah, it's like that, and it's the Durant Survivor Durant. Have you guys heard of that?
Yeah.
So
they're in. Are you allowed to tell people that you're on this?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. Because
it's so exciting.
Yes. So exciting. And it's in Oklahoma in May, and it's a 6-day game.
6-day game. Wow.
Amazing. Oh my God, Hayley.
So I'm going to represent Backyard Survivor.
It's incredible.
So, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's going to be cool.
That's good representation.
And all my family who don't even watch Survivor are fully supporting me, and they want to do raffles and fundraising. I'm like, yeah.
Absolutely.
We do some fundraising. Give us the details.
When you get your fundraiser up and running, we'll post it on our socials.
Sweet. And hey, the bloody prize money is crazy. It's in US dollars, by the way. It's wicked. Wow.
That's amazing. Congratulations on that. It's so well deserved. I wonder if anyone else from Australia is going to.
I know. I'm like Sam Green. What are you doing in May?
Well, hopefully you go
and
there.
The Kiwis.
You win the cash. Yeah, maybe Bethany will be there. Kiwi Alliance. Maybe you go there. You win the cash, and then you can come to Perth in October. That's a great story outcome.
100% king.
Right. Thank you so much for coming on, Hayley. You were so brilliant on the show and such a deserving winner of such a great season. So congratulations again.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Oh,
anytime.
So now we're turning to our second interview of the episode. Sorry if you hear my cat. He's not happy to be locked in. Now, this player, I was all in with Jacob the entire season because I felt of my drafted players. You know, I made some early mistakes with the draft, Tommy. And so I had to rely quite heavily on the later picks like Mark and like Jacob, and then try to pretend that was my plan all along. And he was, I think, in such a strong position for the whole game. And I think he definitely is the fallen angel, the person that probably would have won if he got to the end, but just couldn't get that far. I have to say, he's sitting backstage right now, and my love and admiration for him has dipped slightly, just as it did for Takan, because I'm devastated to see that he's cut his luscious locks off. We bring him in the moment.
I think he looks great.
Look, I'm into the long hair now. This is like my thing. I like the long hair, guys. Let's bring him in. Let's welcome the absolute angel of the season, Jacob. Welcome.
I love it.
Hey guys, how are you?
Fantastic.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes. So,
wow, fireworks is all happening.
Wow.
How you going, guys? Thanks for having me.
No, we're great to be here. You were such a strong player in the game. You got blindsided, I felt, at Final Five. Did you feel that had that not happened, you were on a pathway to success, or did you feel like it was going to be a tough time for you there?
So I kind of knew the writing was on the wall when Mark got voted out. I think probably like you ruminate and you reminisce 2 years on, and I should have gotten Megan out instead of Mark. So when I got Mark out, I was like, yeah, fuck. So I kind of knew that the writing was on the wall for me. I was just hoping that I could convince Megan to stay with me. I'd been loyal to her the whole time. I was hoping that I could get through one more, but yeah, you see it in my confessionals. I sound like a broken record, but yeah, I realized that I had a story that may have been not worth bringing to the final tribal council. So yeah, I wasn't totally blindsided, but I just kind of was trying to put. You even saw in the tribal council, I was like, play your idol on me, like trying to do everything I could. But yeah, it was the right move, and props to Megs. I was happy to make it that far coming back from redemption. To be honest, I didn't know how long I had left. Yeah.
there was a lot of great confessionals there. He kept saying, you know, you're playing your idol on me, right? And she's like, yeah, I'm playing it on myself. And you're like, no, the other one. She's like, yeah, I'm playing it on myself. And you're like, what?
Bitch, I know you got one. What's the second one doing? Yeah.
What? You're just like, well, like not answering your question. Like,
yeah, I think there was more times that happened than the edit even shows as well. And she's looking at me like, yeah, I've got two. I'm like, play it on me, but
so what? No, I'm playing it on me. Like,
yeah, you're not
it's
deflecting, Megs. Come on, yeah.
She could have put a Caitlin and played both of them on herself.
Yeah,
yeah, that would have been good.
Why not? She's like, yeah, they're both going on me. You talked about going to redemption and then, you know, coming back. It always felt like you weren't even gone. Like, did it feel like that to you in the game because you're so in and out so quick?
Not real. I mean, the whole thing feels quick because it's obviously condensed down with the editing and everything. But like every challenge to every tribal is moving so quickly. You know, you've got like 15, 20-minute strat chat after your challenge to the tribal. And then after you get eliminated, it's like, okay, come over here, do a little confessional, and then come and wait at redemption. So I don't know, maybe it was a couple of hours tops from when I'm right back in the game. Yeah, it was kind of blink of an eye and I'm back in. Yeah. So I didn't miss too much, but it's hard to have like a scope of how much time's passed and what's transpired in that time that's passed as well. So you don't really know for sure what you've missed out on, if that makes sense.
And Altus was so close to beating you. He was so effective immediately.
Thank God he was drugged up and illiterate. It was so good. I was like, watching his interview back, I'm like, thank God he was cooked. That really worked out in my favor because I'm sure if he was like actually coherent, we were both goners. The edit does not do justice how quickly he was putting those blocks up.
Yeah.
Like he was powering through it. The board wasn't wobbling at all. Yeah, that was hectic because especially I was like seeing the spelling errors and I'm like, okay, you just need to keep focusing on your board. Like, it's so much concentration with those balancing challenges as well. They're the worst. Yeah. That was nearly the end of my story there. Yeah.
And what a different game it would have been if Altus gets back in at that point.
Right?
Yeah.
Such a different game.
I don't know. I feel he just gets booted right away after coach or before him.
I know, but then we don't have Jacob's story arc toward the end. Is what I mean. Like Jacob's suddenly not in there. It becomes there's so many more different moves to make.
Maybe we finally get a conclusion to the epic Mark versus Altus battle that we never saw.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I don't know, like Altus, even though he obviously was not 100%, like I think in the edit it does show that like he still has a charm about him, and I was growing quite close to him and we were connecting really well. No, I'm pretty sure they put it in the edit. Like he felt really comfortable with me in the tribe, and I kind of mentioned to Haley, like, what about if we bring Altus in as like a 3 as a backup? And yeah, he's a really nice guy. So like I was getting along with him really well. And when I knew who like the character that Mark was for the season, I was like, oh shit, like I've got a shield here. Someone's really valuable for the alliance, or like I felt that Altus could be a loyal team player. So yeah.
Going back to that tribe where you did get voted out, that was a pretty hectic one for you. Probably your most hectic one. You don't have a vote. The green girls have all the power. Tara's there doing everything she can to convince them to boot you. Were you surprised that you ended up going there, or was that? Did you feel like Tara had convinced them enough? Your lack of vote was enough. What was the thinking?
Oh my God, this strat chat segment was like a total roller coaster because the way the parchment was written, and look, I'm not a big Survivor super fan or anything like that, so I was really going off how the parchments were written and everything, and it said at the next tribal, and I didn't realize that inferred the next tribal that I attend, so I just assumed it was the next tribal that occurred in the game for everyone. So in my mind, I'm like, yep, I've got a vote. This is easy. Tara's out. But Tara, the little bitch, she was like, let's just run that after she knows that potentially it's her going. She's like, let's just double check with production. And I mean, thank God she did, because I just would have been caught out anyway. Yeah. But she was able to use, I mean, she's iconic. She's iconic. There's no other way to describe Tara. Like, I love her.
Yeah.
I want her out. I really am denied working with her. But yeah, that strat chat segment, it was probably 30 seconds before the siren goes from when you got to go to tribal that they come back and confirm, yeah, you don't have a vote. So I'm like, great. So I've had all these chats with people and it's kind of null and void. So I think it just made sense for them to get rid of me in that moment. I don't know, like maybe Tara got to have one more chat with them before we went up. Like, yeah, I felt like I just saying never wanted to vote Jacob out, generally wanted to vote with him so badly, but he had no vote and second freedom. Yeah. You still voted me though, didn't you? No, I'm joking.
That's what's so bizarre. What Jess says there, I think, explains what
they still could have put me through though with my no vote. So
yeah, they could have. But they voted you out. You come back in, and then, like, despite the fact they aligned with Tara on that vote, they just cast Tara away. And like, Jacob, we're here with you now. Like, it merged.
Yeah.
Like, they were not interested in Tara. They just liched right back onto you. Did you find that odd, considering they had all the power and they chose to vote you out?
Fuck yeah, that was so random. Because, like, again, you know, like I wasn't gone for that long, right, in the grand scheme of things, but I mean, they've just like surely solidified some sort of connection on a vote in voting me out together, right? So, I'm coming back in, and you know that great lie that I subbed again. I'm not good at lying, clearly. Fucking hell. So we go back to the tribe, and then I'm like, yeah, I've got some work to do here. And then I was like, oh no, we're going straight to the meal, the merge meal. But yeah, I was surprised, to be honest, especially because I feel like Tara had put in such good work in getting them to go with her on that vote. I thought surely that merits carrying forward, working together with her. But it would have for me. But yeah,
if you had a vote, do you think you would have teamed up with Tara and her extra vote to take out one of the green girls?
Oh, that would have been delicious, wouldn't it? I really did want to work with Tara, but my biggest obstacle was that my closest ally did not want to work with her and was very vocal about that. So I was quite torn because it would really be me risking potentially my whole alliance to flip early to work with the icon eye roller. Yeah, I don't think I was willing to risk that at that point. Sure. If I'm being honest, entertainment-wise, looking back, would have been great, but like in that moment, you're kind of playing the numbers game that early on. Yeah. And Haley was my number one, so
I would have loved to see Haley's revenge arc here, because I said it when you were voted out. I was like, Haley comes on a rampage here, surely, and then you come back, so it's like, oh, well, that's done.
Yeah,
I would have loved to see like Haley just bypass Mark and be like, fuck everybody.
Yeah. It was cute seeing that she was like upset, and then like when I walked back into it was nice that she was there when I came back into the game too. That was cool.
Cute.
Yeah.
So let's talk a bit about that relationship with Haley.
Okay.
Like it seemed from the edit that it was like from the one world, that was when you two like built that connection. Is that how it was for you?
Yeah. So, after the puzzle, the very first challenge where we were grabbing the puzzle pieces, and I forgot to establish any social connections with anyone and just went for puzzle pieces. Great start. We were like split off and having these chats all kind of like in this long row in front of all the cameras, and I saw she was wearing a Blues sport jersey, and I was like, dang, she's a sports player, she'll probably be a team player. So I just had chats with her, I got a good vibe, and then I was like, yeah, I think she'd be a good person to get as like an alliance. I think I suggested really early on, like, hey, look, let's work together. I'll watch your back, you watch mine. Let's keep it on the down low. It was so it was pretty early on that because you're clutching at any straw you can for establishing some sort of connection with anyone early on, and we didn't know how long we were going to be in this one tribe for. So yeah, I saw it was thanks to the Blues jersey she was wearing. I was like, yep, that's a team player, surely.
Smart, I like that.
Yeah, well read.
And so there you go. No to anyone else playing. No, go.
Yeah. Like, thankfully, the whole me wanting to play how close we were on the down low worked really well because ORCA Mark played up publicly how close he was with Haley, and it was just mwah, like love Mark for that. It was so good. Every time we're at tribal and he's like sitting next to Haley most of the time, and then talking about me and Haley have worked together, like blah blah blah. We're really close. I'm like, this is so good because it pushed me a little further away from associating closely with Haley for most of the game. Obviously, it became obvious towards the end, but yeah, it worked out well.
You were particularly good at the challenges. You obviously won your way back in. I think you won a few immunities as well. Did you know that you'd be good at challenges, Survivor challenges, or was that a surprise?
Not really. I mean, I'm hyper competitive, so I guess I just channeled that in the challenges, and I think as we got deeper into the post merge, I realized that I had a bit of an awareness. Oh shit! Like anyone with kind of somewhat of a decent story arc or has been through somewhat of a tumultuous journey that's going to work in their favor for final tribal, and it's also going to put a target on your back so that it kind of mounts on each other, and you're like, well, my best bet is to get an individual immunity, but the risk of that is also getting further target on your back. So I don't know. I guess I was just trying to stay alive.
Though not enough to listen to Megan when she told you to put an extra.
I didn't hear her.
Domino on your thing. She didn't hear her.
I didn't hear her. I wish I did. I literally was holding that stack for 2 minutes. I remember the countdown started. Yeah, and I just didn't move, and I zoned out. Did
she tell you about that after the fact, or is it something you only saw on the watch back?
I'm pretty sure she mentioned after. She's like, I told you to do one more. I was like, I didn't want to risk it. Like you saw like the layout. If I turned around, it would have dropped probably.
Yeah.
So yeah, it ended up only being millimeters anyway. But love Zoe. So
I just thought Megan knew. I knew, and Megan knew. I'm like, you needed one more.
Yeah, yeah. And everyone else knew, probably like behind me anyway. So
yeah, well, I don't know. Like,
although it wasn't a lot in it, right? So
it just seemed like you needed one more. Zoe played that very smart, but she had the advantage of the position.
Yeah, rigged. No, we drew. We drew for spots. It's all good.
Okay, I was about to say, did you draw for spots? Because otherwise, it is rigged.
Yeah, no, we drew for spots. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, before each challenge, we pulled out like a numbered thing for our corresponding position. Okay. Yeah.
So you said that you're not a Survivor super fan. What is the reason that you applied to be on Backyard? How did you know about Backyard? What was your reason for getting into this?
I used to volunteer at the same youth center as Brian years ago, and we just chatted about like I love Survivor, but I've only ever watched it sporadically, not like fanatically. And I think back then he had two guys talk Survivor podcast or something along those lines. Yeah. And listened to that, and we chatted about that, and then he's like, oh, we'll be doing I think it was coming like season 1 or season 2 around that time. And I was like, I can't right now, but I was going to be on season 4, but I knew too many people in the cast, so they put me aside for season 5.
Okay, great. Yeah. You just knew too many people through Brian and through Kyle.
Yeah. And like I knew Josh and Sal on the cast. That was it. On every other season, I've known one person at least, so this was the first season where I didn't know anyone.
No, okay, cool. And so a fair point fell. And it's been, 5 years, 6 years in the making to get you on there after.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And it's been awesome seeing the evolution. When we saw the finished product of this, it's like mind blowing. The cast and the crew in the background. I mean, like I can't sing their praises enough. It's like a mammoth effort, and they're all volunteering their time, so yeah, big shout out to all the crew involved.
You asked my question. That was going to be my question, was like for the LRGs.
Sorry, Danny. Yeah, coordinate.
So that's okay. That's all right. We're on the same train of thought. That's fine. Is there anything in the game watching back that you just wish you could change? Like anything in there that you're like, oh fuck, I really wish I could have done this differently.
Oh yeah, like I wish I could lie better for sure. Yeah, keep a story straight. That would be good. Yeah, because I fucked up. Well, yeah, I fucked up the one well. Sorry, are we allowed to swear on here? I've been swearing
Yes.
the whole time. But okay.
Absolutely, yes.
Sorry. I think it was my second word I said. The first one, the summit that I went to, that lie up. Back. You've got like these four people asking you what happened, and I fucked that up. But then I was able to just piggyback off Mark, in the challenge, admitting that he had the idol to us, and I was like, oh, this is great. This is my moment to just come clean. So it actually worked well in that sense. But the second live, when we were making up how I chose to go back to the Orange Tribe, yeah, I totally blanked when we got. And then when we sat down at the dinner, I'm next to Tara. Great. She's like, so, and I don't start with your so. Whenever she's
so you're like. So this story you told us,
question about, and I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah. Like, so Jake, the story you told us makes absolutely no sense. Like,
I just like to address something publicly in front of everyone, if that's okay. It's like, no, it's not okay, but you're going to do it anyway. I guess that but it's such a pressure cooker where in the moment you don't have. I mean, I don't know how Mark did it. I don't know how he was able to think ahead so much, cover different parts of his lives and stories, have I guess having a lot of in-depth survivor knowledge does help, and understanding the functions and foundations of the game. And he had a really good read on the cast, I believe, as well, which he said in the interview. So I just didn't have all that. So I was kind of just going off raw, hopefully good social skills. And yeah, I don't have many regrets. I regret not getting Megan out instead of Mark. But I was loyal to her, and I believed in our free alliance. So, I mean, getting voted out for being loyal isn't really a bad thing, I guess. But
you believed in that alliance, but did you think you were number 3 in it, or where did you think you were in that?
I felt like Megan. In my eyes, I felt like Megan was the number 3 out of us, but I did feel really close with Megan as well. So yeah, I don't know. You can never know for sure.
Would it be right to say that Megan probably was the number 3 until you got to final 5, and then you just to Mark's gone, and now who's the threat? And Jacob's too big of a threat. We got to get rid of Jacob. I think he probably was the number 3.
Yeah,
and as you say, losing Mark early was probably the worst outcome. You really needed Mark. If you had a final 3 with Mark in it, no one's taking Mark to the end, even though we have discussed that he might not have got the votes that people might not respect his game the way they respected Haley's game if they're a bit bitter. But I think that's the thing. I think you had the right read, but Megan just got the jump on you first.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just gonna put a light on because I realize I'm on the candlelight here.
It's a look. It's a look.
It's getting more intimate as the interview goes on.
It's just you, this outline of you in the dark.
What? Oh, now that's creating a shine. Anyway, I'm the fallen angel.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say though is you see me have one-on-one with Mark prior to his when he gets voted out, of me wanting to take him to the Final Trouble Council. We would be a good Final Trouble Council to go head to head with each other. I was genuinely considering that because I thought that that's probably my best ticket to make it there if I kept him around. So I genuinely did want to do that.
And you might have been able to beat him. I think that's possible. I think that is possible.
Well, I thought it would have been a fun Final Trouble Council, regardless. Because we were frenemies the whole season.
Yeah. Well, especially seeing this side of your personality, because I don't necessarily think that we saw that throughout your confessionals.
You weren't spicy.
You're funny as fuck. I feel like we just saw a very low key, very friendly. You're so likable. But in this, I'm this guy's funny. You and Mark head to head in a final time.
I had a couple of funny moments, but I was talking a lot of shit constantly.
Love it.
I think you can. I think what it was is you get like what I think the what you want to do, and not everyone can do this because they're so hyper focused. This was my experience in the game. I look back at my confessionals, I'm like, these are boring. They're so like just so fucking hyper focused on the game, right? And they're so uninteresting. But I'm like, why wasn't I being like the person I am here in the confessionals? Like that's where you can be yourself and just have fun. But it's hard to think about that, I think, when you're in the game. And so your confessionals just end up being this sort of super serious, like I'm doing this is the move, blah blah blah.
Yeah, and I guess we can comment on all of like production and stuff, but like in the confessionals, the people asking the questions, they had lists of questions with prompts of like topics that they want covered. So like even if you want to pour your personality into it, you've still got to answer these majority of the time, not all the time, but you've got to answer these questions because they want to be able to create clear story progression and stuff like that. But I mean, I have plenty of like little eye roll moments and trying to break the fourth wall and little like, if Mark crumbles, cool, so what? You know, like little comments like that. But yeah, I guess from an editing perspective, it's hard to get all of those little tidbits in.
Especially when they're editing all of Mark's tidbits, so you know, it has something to do.
Yeah. When you've got that unofficial ORCA really hogging up all my camera time, it's not great.
Loves to chew the scenery.
Oh, doesn't he?
I want to ask a bit about Mark. So what I
don't ask about it. It's about me. This is my interview.
Yeah, I want to know what was it about Mark that made you.
He's had his 15, 20 minutes. Fuck him.
No, I want to know about you. What made you not trust him? Because I can understand being scared of him from a threat perspective. No, but he seemed, from what we were seeing, he seemed very loyal to you guys, and you were just like, nah, can't trust him as far as I can throw him. What made you not trust him?
I think initially I got along with him really well. Like I do get along with him really well. He's a nutcase and I love him. But I think initially, when we started to have our camp time, when we had like the established tribes, it slowly started to seep out how strategic he was. And I think if he had a different tribal makeup, say there was a task him,
we lost him.
I feel like he wouldn't. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
We're good.
Yeah. You were frozen for a second.
Okay, fireworks. Did you? Thumbs up. Did you hear if there was like a different tribal makeup? If you had like a
if he had Tara or
something
something.
I don't think he would have stood out as so strategic, and he just seemed a little bit like he had a little bit of unease around him, like he wanted to get into strategy, and it just stood out. It wasn't that he was. I don't think there was any like extremity to how he was behaving. It was just in contrast to how kind of like mellow a lot of the team members were. Because like Haley and Altus were pretty chill. Megan was having a bit of a laugh. Like I think I was pretty chill as well. So I think he just stood out in comparison, and then that kind of made me feel like he might not have been gelling with the tribe that much. And I think that was kind of like the catalyst for me to go, "Ooh, do I trust him? Is there something off with him?" Like, yeah. And I mean, you're basing this all off like an hour of knowing someone, and you kind of have to go off those gut feelings and. You know what I mean? You guys have all done it, so you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
You got you gut feel, and then it's hard to backtrack off that because it does move so quick. You're like, I just got to trust that feeling.
In the same way of like, I feel like I could work with this person. I'm going to run with that. That's what I felt with Haley, so I just ran with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But he ended up being a great shield and a fantastic person to have on my alliance. So
absolutely, super loyal to you.
Worked out really well. It was just a roller coaster. Like he was exhausting because you didn't know what was going to happen next. You didn't know what was going to come out with his mouth. You didn't know if it was going to be true or not. So like it was hard to trust him on that basis because I would find out a lot of stuff after the fact, and then might not be the whole truth. It would be a half truth. So like it just kind of kept amounting. And then when we could finally get him out, we were so blinded by the fact that we could finally, I was so blinded by the fact that I can finally get him out, not realizing he's the one person I should have kept in. yeah. So, but you're spending the prolonged hours and days and stuff with someone, and you're like, I need you gone. You're doing my head in. So I just.
Yeah, you hurt my head.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't care about the final 5.
Yeah.
Like,
I need peace right now.
yeah. But then watching back, I was like, oh, he was like crying and shit about it. I was like, I didn't realize it meant that much to him. Fuck. But
No, he was crying about not beating Josh. That's all it was.
Yeah, but it didn't matter in the end. I
were
think
they sad tears?
I think he cared at the time, but I think realistically, he worked out that it didn't really matter. It doesn't matter where you come. It's how much screen time you get. I think he worked that out.
Yeah, that's right. I mean,
Yeah. Jacob clocked my number one
been...
ally was going to be screen time.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. It really wouldn't have mattered where, like, he had made it to merge. He had shaken up shit enough that, like, it really didn't matter where he plays. Like,
as soon as
it's
he
always
said
going to be a
bounty hunter
standout.
shit.
The bounty hunter shit was
right?
amazing.
Yeah.
Right,
the super idol stuff, like it was
Yeah.
meticulous. And Tara was onto it. Tara had her finger on the pulse, but I think it took someone of enough Survivor knowledge to be able to have your finger on the pulse as well. I know it's hard, like when you're as a viewer, you're watching it and you're like, how are they all believing this? But like, he had that really good read on the cast, and there were so many advantages. Oh my god, the amount of advantages! Like fuck. The one advantage I got was puzzle pieces.
Yeah, that was not an advantage.
It's not an advantage.
I was so.
And Tara said,
whatever advantage you can at that point, so you're like, yeah sure, this is an alliance, whatever.
Hey, it was very important to Kate. Kate wagered a whole game on that episode.
Yeah, bless her.
No, Tara said the same. Tara wasn't like 100% convinced by Mark, but like it was a possibility he was telling the truth, and there wasn't really the time to suss it out or convince everyone else otherwise. So you just had to roll with it, right? Like,
yeah,
it was
and like
exactly.
And if you like investigate or interrogate too much, that's valuable time away from everyone else as well. Like, or do you do it in front of everyone and then risk blowing up? I don't know. If I did it, I was like, well, I'm blowing up my alliance with him if I do that in front of everyone, so like
accept it, move on. He's got that.
Cool. Yeah. So he played it really well, and he knows he did.
They're all Mark stands,
and he will tell you he did again and again.
Do we have any final questions for Jacob? You do.
I wanted to know. You mentioned Tara with her vote out. I remember when we were talking about it in the chat, you were saying you were very close to flipping. If you had flipped on Megan at that point, or was there, if she had pitched someone else in it, if she had pitched Zoe, would you have been more inclined to flip that way? I just want to know a bit more about that.
I think that was the first vote where I started to think about, do I want to remain my tribe strong the whole way? I guess I was thinking about like, let's maybe have some fun here and change things up, and maybe it can work out for the better for me. I out of Tara and Mark, obviously I wanted both of them gone because they were intense strategic players in comparison to the rest of the cast. Out of the two, I would have trusted Tara a lot more. Like, we had a really good rapport. We got along really well. It was a shame about how our tribe swap happened, because from there I was really excited that I got on the same tribe as her, because I thought it would have been fun to have a close alliance with Tara and with Hayley, and just seen how that kind of would have navigated post merge. But ultimately, I felt if the vote was on Zoe, I would have gone with that. Yeah, hands down. I think it's because it was Meg was the alternate vote there that I was like, just didn't feel like the right time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jacob, for coming on and talking about your amazing game. It was particularly special to me because I really needed a hard pivot after Tommy got booted first. And then Jacob's going to win.
I think I was your second last draft pick, though, wasn't I, CK?
You were. It was you then, Mark.
I think it was influenced by you weren't in the chat.
Yeah, you weren't there.
Definitely influencing.
All right, roll back the tapes. Yeah.
But yeah, it was an important pivot for me once Tommy got fitted.
He rode hard for you. He rode hard for you all season after that.
Yeah, well, after episode 1, I did. That's for sure.
Thanks, CK.
So yeah, thank you very much, and thank you for being such a great contestant on a great season, and for doing such a good interview here. This was wild, so enjoyable. This has been the most. We saw a different side of Jacob. This is probably the second most exciting interview we had, where we saw a different side after the Altus non-drugged up. The non-drugged up Altus. It was like
the sober Altus interview was everything. I loved it.
He was buzzing off his work. He was so energetic and excited and like a million miles a minute. I'm like, wow, those drugs really like chilled you the fuck out.
It's a good shit, yeah.
Thanks, Jacob.
Thanks so much, guys. And like, I just want to say thanks. I actually saw Kyle the other day, and we were chatting about the ORCA pod, and we're just saying like how grateful we are that well, he was so grateful that there's a whole community that are following along, and like for you guys to do your detailed analysis and your takes every week, like it really adds a lot of depth to the community. And yeah, I know I can speak on behalf of the whole cast when I say like we're so grateful. It's added to the whole experience for us. So yeah, we're really grateful for all the hard work you guys have done. Really appreciate it.
Thank
you so much, Jacob.
Well, we enjoy it too. So
we love it.
As I say, I've said many times when people thank us, we would literally talk into a void if we could. Like, frankly, we're just happy to hear the sound of our own voice and look at ourselves.
I'm well aware you would. Yeah. It's a fucking ORCA pod. Come on. Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
It's good that people enjoy it. That's for sure. Right. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. All right, so that was Jacob and Haley. They were both amazing. Oh, he's run off. Try and get him back for the after show, Haley. Thank you so much, everyone that's joined us live. We have plenty of coverage to come as we do our post-season on One Well. As I said, next week, stay tuned for the runner-up, Megan, and the Green Girl, Zoe and Jess, who have requested separate interviews. You know, they're tired of being pushed together. They're their own individual people, and they want their own individual interviews.
After Zoe stabbed Jess in the back, of course she requested it.
I think they were up to joint interviews until that moment, and that was the end of it. Yeah, so I'm not doing an interview with that bitch. Anyway, that's we will have them in separate interviews. The People's Champion. God knows if she's ever watched the show or if she knows she's the People's Champion. That would be fun to find out. That's all happening next week. Then we have the tea party with Annabelle. Maybe she's watched the show by now. I don't know, but she'll be tuning in and asking all the hot tea questions. Maybe we need to expand the tea party to include Jacob as well after that interview.
I think you absolutely do.
Expand it up a bit, I think. And then the most important moment in the entire hours of podcasting we've done, the crowning of the ORCA, will be occurring at the end of the month, followed by a chat with production. And then for anyone that wants to keep on watching us, after we finish Backyard One Well, we will be going back to the rank down. For those of you that just started listening to us, because this was your season, prior to this, we reviewed the 11 existing seasons that existed when we started the countdown. The community ranked them, and we have been going 11-1. Before Canberra, and this came out, we were up to number 3. So we'll be starting number 3, the bronze medalist, which is Backyard 4. Very soon after this in April. But in between that, we have our 100th episode special. 100 episodes in a bit over 2 years. I think that's very, very special achievement for the three of us. And that's a lot of hours of us talking to a screen. And it'll be a special episode with a special game. And we're not going to reveal too much, but I guarantee you, if you have played in an LRG, you will hear your name and you will see your face. And that's all that you care about. We all know that. You want to know that you'll be in it, and you will be. So
everybody will be on the pod.
Everybody that's ever existed in this entire community will be on the pod. So first week of April, tune in for our special 100th episode. Thank you to everyone that chatted here live. Thank you everyone that always comes on and chats live. Thank you, Dani, and thank you, Jules.
Thank you.
And thank you, of course, to Haley and Jacob, who were great on the season and even more fantastic here. We will see you next week. Until then, while I find the media, and until then, we shall dance.